And we are back with another episode of the Daily Crypto Byte. You've probably already noticed Dr. J is not yet with us. He will be joining us sometime during the episode. He'll be dropping in and hopping on the Zoom, so be on the lookout for him. But another day, another instance of some bullish news in the crypto markets. Not only that, we have some bullish sentiment data coming out from Glassnode. We need some really nice doges of the day to talk through you guys today. So really excited for this one. But like I said, another day in Bitcoin, another piece of bullish news. And yesterday, CJ, we were talking about Visa and their plans for some Bitcoin adoption. And I think today we actually have some even bigger news, and that's coming out of PayPal. So this is what everyone's been talking about. I woke up this morning to the crypto room absolutely buzzing with people talking about this news, talking about how this could be the catalyst that propels us to new highs. And I agree that this is significant, right? So the news is that PayPal is going to let their users pay with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin starting today. So you probably remember that back in November, they allowed for their users to begin purchasing these assets. But this is a big step for the potential use cases of these cryptocurrencies, right? Because as it stands right now, there really isn't too much way to use them as a transactionary asset. You basically just buy and hold these assets. But with this new development from PayPal, they're going to allow you to pay for any goods or services connected from one of their millions of merchants uh, by settling into fiat and then paying them out in fiat. So this is really big news because you got to think of it from not only the consumer perspective, but also from the vendor perspective, right? Because a lot of the hesitation for the vendors to start accepting cryptocurrency payments is due to the immense volatility of these assets. And it's just not practical for them to sell a t-shirt for some Bitcoin when that Bitcoin could go down in value and they're taking a loss just the very next week. So now that PayPal's allowing the users to settle into fiat instantaneously and then make the purchase, it works out great for both the consumer and the vendor. So I think that this is a great step in the right direction. Very big news for adoption and for use case of crypto. And I think that a lot of people in chat are right. This could be the news that propels us to new highs. But CJ, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What are you thinking about this PayPal news?
It's big, right? It's big. It's going to lead to a lot more. I don't know if people will necessarily spend Bitcoin, especially kind of in our current points. But I do think having the payment rails is absolutely essential to its further legitimization and people actually realizing, okay, this is becoming a thing. This is feasible now to actually transact. And so, Bitcoin, it depends. To some people, it should be a medium of exchange. To others, it just should be a store of value. But either way, this brings huge legitimacy to the space, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100% CJ. And a lot of the concern around crypto recently is just the fact that the only real utility is kind of a store of value and holding it. And I think that this kind of opens up the doors to a whole new world of utility. And when this news dropped in November that PayPal was going to start allowing their, I think, 49 million plus users to purchase cryptocurrency, there was a lot of talk that that could be the thing that propels price to new highs. But I think that this right here is the real significant development. November was just kind of the primer that was allowing this development to take place. And I think that this could be really important going forward. But another important thing, and another thing that seems to uh, kind of flow in when we're entering these bullish market cycles, is some sentiment from Glassnode, CJ, our favorite data provider, Glassnode. You sent us a pretty interesting graphic here, and I think it's really important to talk about. We've been talking a lot about the whales and the role that they're playing in this current market. So you want to tell us a little bit about this Glassnode data?
Yeah, so a couple assumptions that you have to make with the Glassnode data. The first is that the older coins in the market, the older coins that haven't moved in over 3 or 6 months, are generally more intelligent in the sense that they call tops and bottoms pretty regularly. The thing that I really like about this graph and what it shows for the backbone of the overall market here is that throughout, the start of the bull trend, we had a very stable phase when it comes to sell pressure of these older holders and the older coins. Then when we had a run up straight to 30K or almost early 40s, like 43K, a lot of those individuals took profit. A lot of those sold into that strength in the first leg up of the next bull market. But now I think that we've seen Tesla and a lot of these corporations and the narrative around Bitcoin has changed, right? The narrative around this bull market has completely been altercated. That's why, at conferences this year, there's going to be Michael Saylor and Square and all of these other, people, because they need to grow their brand and ignite and spread that narrative. But what I'm seeing here with this graph is that you can see those older hands are putting away the coins. They're putting them away in cold storage. They're not moving. And that sell pressure of large and old funds selling into strength is dissipating. We're seeing it on on-chain volume and different metrics. This is just one of the charts that really gives us a nice visualization of what's going on. But it's pretty clear that this is driving price as demand slowly creeps upward. The next thing I want to say is just the fact that the total circulating supply, out of all of the total circulating supply of Bitcoin, the total supply on exchanges is only 12% of the total circulating supply. And that's a 3% decrease from like the previous 3 months. So even though we're going up in the bull market, the amount of coins held on exchanges is continuing to decrease. And we've never had it that low. That almost makes it kind of a concern deeper on in the bull market for like an upward liquidity crisis. If coins don't have enough, or if exchanges don't have enough coins to transfer. I don't know if that'll happen, but we've never had coins, this few of coins on exchanges before. So it's very interesting. We don't know exactly what will happen as a result. But yeah, Monty, any thoughts on this Glassnode scarcity data?
Yeah, CJ, I think that this is one of the unique kind of edges we have in Bitcoin is the ability to look at these on-chain metrics. And I think the ones that you just talked about are really the key metrics we need to look at, right? The liquidity of these exchanges is a great indication for kind of how much these whales are taking off the exchanges and putting into cold storage. So we try to bring you these metrics of whale wallets every day from Glassnode and from these metrics to kind of paint a bigger picture of what the smart money is thinking with Bitcoin, what they're kind of doing with their assets as the price starts to move. So interesting stuff here for sure. Interesting stuff. And it's exciting to see that the smart money is putting it away for the long hold. That's what I like to hear. That's what it's all about, is holding with diamond hands. So I'm thinking about doing the same here, putting some into cold storage. But without further ado, I think it's time for us to move on to our doges of the day. And this is going to be an interesting week, right? Because like we just mentioned, there's a lot of news related to Bitcoin and a lot of sentiment implying that it could break to new all-time highs. And historically, when we see that happen, we see some alts perform very, very well. So, CJ, what are you looking at for your doges of the day this fine Tuesday?
Before we get into the doges of the day, I just want to say you took the words right out of my mouth there. That's exactly what I was going to say with Bitcoin going towards all-time highs. It gets incredibly exciting in the altcoin markets. I've got quite a few doges that I'm looking at. I will select one, and that's GLM. That was your doge of the day as well yesterday. It's done very well since then. I think up about 10 or 15%. I still think this thing could go to $1 by the end of April based on the momentum that it's had. It's got a beautiful chart. We're starting to see buy pressure come in ever since we broke the 50-cent level. Now we're up about 64 cents. But I think what's more important to pay attention to is the overall narrative going on around altcoins when Bitcoin hits all-time highs. And I think there are a couple assets in prime, striking distance, you could say, as we reach all-time highs in Bitcoin. And those assets are HBAR, ICX, and Algo. Algorand has had a tremendous run. It continues to go up. And we've talked about the PayPal and the Curve integration with that. A lot of interesting things, but all of these coins I think are going to be hitters for the month of April and are going to do very well if Bitcoin continues to go towards all-time highs. I'm still long GLM. Like I said, I'm still very bullish on that one for the month of April, and I'll stick with that one as my Doge of the day. But I'll be watching those other three as well.
I like it, CJ. I like it. Yeah, GLM and Algo have been kind of the big performers to start this week so far. We were talking a lot about that news with Algo. You're right, and I think it was kind of a delayed reaction, but it finally got that pop once the sell pressure was kind of relieved from Bitcoin with those options expiring on Friday. So I really like all four of your picks here. Actually, I hold all four of these assets. So I hope you're right. Hope we see some action here.
What
But I want
assets
to
do you not hold? That's probably the better question.
yeah, at this point, that really is the question. Which assets don't I hold? And one that I added this morning that I had not yet purchased is my Doge of the day, and that is comp. I held some comp a while ago, but then I ended up selling it. And this is kind of one that's veering out of the norm for our Doges of the day, right? Because it's kind of a bit of a higher price point in the 400s. But that being said, I really like how this asset is postured, not only technically, but there are some sentiment factors that I think could play a large role in this as well. So if you look at the technicals here, price, this is what I look for an asset that could potentially perform well when Bitcoin goes on a run. It's consolidating above its previous high. It's starting to show some real life here yesterday. And I think that it still has room to run all the way back up to plus 500. I think that because of the fact that it's well below its all-time high, there's very strong sentiment data on both the daily and the long-term time frame from Trade the Chain. So I think that that implies that this thing has some very nice room to run. I like the fact that it's above $400. That for me, I always look for nice support below when I'm entering a long trade. So $400, I think, will be sufficient psychological support. It's also acted as technical support in the past. So if you're thinking of entering a long trade, a stop loss just below 400 would be a good way to kind of mitigate that downside loss. And yeah, I think comp has a very appealing week ahead of it, just based on the technicals, based on the fundamentals, and based on what I think Bitcoin is going to do this next week. So comp, I entered a trade this morning. We'll be watching it closely, and I expect people to start talking about it in the crypto room now that I've mentioned it here. So yeah, that's my Doge of the day, and I will pass it back to you, CJ.
It's an exciting week, right? It's a very exciting week now that Bitcoin has gone up to 58K and is retesting those all-time highs. So we'll see. We'll see how these doges of the days end up. Any word from Mr. Najarian?
No word from Dr. J. I guess he's a little late getting his daughter into school today. Understandable. It happens. We missed him, but we'll see him again tomorrow, and we'll just hold him accountable tomorrow. We'll make him talk double because I actually did have a question about 10-year yield for him and stuff. So we'll get to that tomorrow. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to Voyager for sponsoring this show, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern. And yeah, if you guys want to hang out with CJ and I, you can try our crypto trading room for just $1 for the first month. The link is right below me, markrebellion.com/try crypto. Go check it out. We got a pro charting service, an ever growing community of really intelligent traders. Many of you are probably watching this right now, so thank you very much. And yeah, we're publishing trade insights. We published one for Algo, for GLM. Those both saw nice moves. So come in, hang out, trade some crypto with us. We'd love to have you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.